Ready?
Rolling.
Okay, guys, we're at the UK Arnold Classic 2024. I'm here with Ian. We are doing a quick prejudging wrap before the night show, but we're going to go in and watch the night show, and then we'll come back to you guys for a final wrap. We just kind of want to talk about quickly what we saw last night. First, we'll do the Classic. Ian, what did you think about the top five? We had Wesley,
Brion this time.
Brion second, Urs third, Michael Dubois was fourth. So what did you think about the top four, I guess?
Yeah, I thought they were good. I think Wesley was very much the deserved winner. I think he was, clear a little ahead of everybody else there. It's hard to tell because my seats were a little different and the legs a little different. I don't know if he was quite as good as in Columbus, but if he wasn't, it was so damn close. He was still very sharp, very full, very polished. His look was very impressive. Brion, Urs, it's funny because we had this debate on the podcast about Brion and Urs, and we disagreed. Right. And then this show, actually, I had Urs in second.
We disagreed again.
But the other way.
But the judges took my opinion both times.
So clearly he is the better judge here, even though you all agree with me.
No, this is the thing. So in Ohio, I thought Brion's legs were a detriment to his physique. And when we were sitting front row this time, so I got to see them in person, so I got a better angle. I thought Brion was a little bit more full.
He was, I agree.
So his legs were a little more full, and I think that made his flow a little bit better.
I agree there.
So with the conditioning and everything, I'm like, okay. I still love Urs' physique. I mean, that's a little bit of my bias, but as far as criteria...
Taking everybody out.
That's what happens when you go live. Anyways, so with a little bit of more fullness, I thought Brion deserved second last night.
Yeah, I'm not upset about it either way. I think they both look great.
Very close.
They were both improved, I think, from Columbus.
Yeah.
Brion, I think, was a touch less sharp, but I think the fullness actually helped him more than it took away in the conditioning.
Yeah.
Urs, I think, was significantly improved as well.
Yes.
His fullness was good. He changed a few of his poses. His front double, he posed a little more bodybuilder style, but I think it actually helped him.
Yeah.
Detailing his quads and overall fullness was definitely better. So yeah, I'm cool with those placings. When I was watching, I did have Urs second, as opposed to in Columbus, I had him third. But I think they both look awesome, good improvements.
When we went to Dubois, I thought that he was a little bit more flat, and I think he was speaking to Ben afterwards, and he was saying that he was trying to emphasize the conditioning.
Yeah.
But I think he might have gone a little bit too far.
Yeah.
He was a little flat, not enough glaze, that kind of hurt him as well, and then he seemed a little bit shaky on stage.
I agree. Yeah.
But I don't know if he was at his best, if he would have been able to pull ahead of Urs anyway.
No, I don't think he would have. I think that top three is still a little bit ahead of him.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you there. He's a guy that's been known his entire career for his crazy conditioning.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when he got a little bit of critique on that after Columbus, he was very eager to show that that's still who he is and come back, with that super dry, hard conditioning, which I think he definitely improved from Columbus, but like you said, with that came a little bit of flatness, and probably with that flatness, a little bit of depletion came a little shakiness on stage, like you said.
Yeah.
I agree, glaze, and I also think his tan was a little actually on the dark side, which I don't usually say.
Yeah.
I always think darker is better, but it was almost too much of a chestnut dark where it was kind of hiding some detail.
I agree.
So I think it made it look a little blotchy as well. So I think rinse that tan, get a new tan, come back with some more glaze tonight, and a little more fullness would be a better look.
No, they're done. They're done now.
Oh, they're done. Sorry.
Yeah, they're done. The Classic's done.
Classic's done. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, no, either way, I think for going forward, that look in terms of the conditioning, just with a little more fullness and change what I said.
Just to one last point on Classic, I thought Wesley was, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody peaked that well in person. Like the body fat level and the conditioning from head to toe, front to back, side to side, was evenly peeled all the way through. Yeah. There wasn't a spot on his body that was he's holding a little bit there, holding a little bit. And the fullness of the muscle was absolutely perfect too. So anyway.
No, he was very good. And even one thing I said last night is, even things that I think overlooked with a lot of bodybuilders is skin quality and texture.
Yeah.
You'll see guys with amazing conditioning, but they have kind of a rough texture to their skin. He has that nice plasticky look. Yeah. Looked really good. His tan was good. His glaze was good. If we're going to give one bit of critique, I think this still, because he's so broad up top, I think the legs, especially from the back, the hamstrings, adductors need to come up a little more. Obviously, more quads wouldn't hurt him. Yeah. But, this is to obviously compete with a properly peaked Ramon.
Well, if we're talking about
and Chris.
Yeah, if we're talking about Ramon and Chris, he still has a little bit of work to do.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so moving to bodybuilding real quick, because Tomek is holding the camera there. He's probably tired. So we're going to go through it really quickly. Hadi, let's just go one by one really quickly. Hadi, what did you see?
he wasn't as good as Columbus, for sure.
Right.
You know, I know, and people are going to say in the comments, he flew in like a day before because of visa. I understand. I'm 100% sure that is why he wasn't as best.
Right.
But the judges judge what they see on stage, and I'm going to assess what I saw on stage, not make excuses for it.
Right.
You know, he was a little on the flat side. And because of that, he didn't have that gnarly kind of like hardness because things weren't quite pushing quite tight enough.
Right.
But I do expect with another day now, he's going to be significantly better tonight. If I had to put money on it, we're in Vegas. I'm putting Hadi is going to be 10 to 15% better tonight.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, Hadi will definitely make those adjustments. Do I think he is still in the spot to win? Yes. But do I think, as I said yesterday, and talking on my story this morning, that the margin is narrowed, you know, like where I think it was in Columbus to where it is now. I think Samson improved and Hadi was a little worse here. So I think they're definitely closer. So it definitely makes for a more interesting show.
Yeah, I think if anything is absolutely certain, Hani's going to bring him back fuller
100%.
and drier tonight, and he's probably going to look closer to how he looked in Columbus this evening. The thing is, Samson worked with Mel, his wife, and they were able to come in much drier. I spoke to Samson after the show. The one thing that they did was they didn't carb up. And I think it
waltzed right in.
I think it really helped him out because the one thing I do know about Samson's physique is even when he's flat, he's not flat.
He's still full.
So
There's so much roundness there.
Yeah, so it really paid off. The skin looked thinner, the conditioning looked a little better. And with Hadi not being at his best, it was a closer show. I agree with you. I still think Hadi's probably in the lead by a slight margin, but it was way closer.
Definitely.
I think Samson could do a couple things with his posing to maybe help. And if he come back drier tonight, then maybe we don't know. Who knows?
We'll see. No, I thought Samson was definitely improved. The conditioning and dryness was the best I've seen from him that I can ever recall. You know, he sacrificed a little bit of size for it, but we don't need to see Samson bigger.
It was worth it.
It was a trade-off that I would make 10 times out of 10 every single time. You know, so I definitely think he's on the right track forward with that. I think if he keeps, and this was only in 10 days, 2 weeks. So you know, I think if he continues down that track and they kind of have this, you know, steps forward, I think it's definitely good news.
Moving to third. This is the one. So I think they have John in third. This is kind of a shocker to both of us. Me and Ian were both sitting front row, and I don't know if you agree, but we both thought Akeem looked big as a house, but more conditioned than we've seen him in any recent times. So, but judging by how they were moving people around, I think they have John in third.
It's close. I think I do have John in third. I think overall he is a little more complete. I think Akeem from the front was definitely, and the side is definitely beating John, but the discrepancy in the back is still pretty vast, especially from the waist up.
I just think, you know, and I know I'm not gonna talk about what the judges are doing right now. I'm just talking about my opinion. I feel like Akeem is losing one pose.
But it's the margin he's using.
He's losing it by a large margin, but not from the waist down. It's really just that back double. He's kind of losing that shot.
His back lat isn't terrible.
His
it's
back
just the
lat
back
is
double.
Good. So I mean, I could see Akeem in third. I think they have John in third, but who knows how they're going to
go and we know how much Akeem can improve from a Friday to a Saturday. And the pictures I saw him putting up this afternoon, which I actually reposted on my story.
Even harder,
He looks significantly better than yesterday already. And his pictures going into yesterday impressed me. These ones impressed me more. He's more stripped out in the quads, drier through the side, through the delts and legs and everything. So I expect him to see him better tonight and either solidify that fourth place ahead of James or, you know, definitely be fighting for that third with John.
But I actually think John was a little bit flat. Like, I think they brought John in even more peel than they did in Columbus, and he looked like he could have used a little bit more fullness. And I did hear that I don't think Patrick was going to bring him back any fuller because they didn't want to risk having that really dry, grainy look that he had last night.
I spoke to Patrick about this. It's playing the cards that you have against the other guys, and I do agree with him in a sense with this. And when I spoke to Patrick, that was the one feedback I said. I was like, he could be a touch fuller. Like you said, Patrick said, yes, he probably could be a little fuller, but with John, you know, you start to get a little bit of blurring in the skin, and that's his main attribute that he's beating James and Akeem by is the detail, especially in the back shots. So, you know, I think if he comes in crisp again tonight, you know, I think he can hold that third as long as. It's tough. It's going to be very close with him and Akeem if Akeem comes back as good as I think he will be tonight. So I expect to see them compare John and Akeem tonight for sure, because it will be rejudged again tonight.
Just to wrap up the top three, or the last three, sorry. James, I feel like maybe missed the mark a little bit. He wasn't as hard as he was in Columbus. And because of that, he was losing a little bit of detail. And then we have Mo and we have Antoine. I feel like Antoine maybe did some type of really heavy load. I don't know if it was a cheap food load or a clean load, but it looked like he went way past, and he was kind of spilled over a little bit last night. You could see it kind of in the face. He was having trouble contracting his abs, and the skin just looked a little thicker overall.
I agree. For Antoine, by Antoine's standards.
By Antoine's standards.
And I saw him post on his Instagram today that he was 275 on stage yesterday, which is the heaviest he'd ever been. Which I definitely think is too heavy.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
He did some weird things with his posing that I didn't love. You know,
Yep.
he was obviously experimenting with some things.
Yeah.
You know, how he's hitting his front double and some of the other shots. I didn't quite love them. But yeah, I think he definitely needs to come down a few pounds for tonight, which I think in 24 hours,
Yeah.
if it's just a fullness thing, you know, just you posed last night, sweat a bit, keep the food low overnight, dry, have a good sleep, you can definitely pull that down. So if they saw that what we're seeing, I expect to see him a little sharper tonight. I think him and Mo are fighting for that 6'7".
Yeah.
So, but Mo has definitely improved from Columbus for sure. So
I think Antoine and James both kind of overcorrected.
I
Because
agree.
James felt like he needed to be fuller from Ohio, and so did Antoine.
Yeah.
And I think they just kind of went a little too far trying to fill up. The one bonus, though, is I think Mo got a lot better.
Yes, Mo was
was
better.
definitely crisper last night. The front looked really good.
Yeah.
I think he still needs some more muscle in the back to match the front. He's got such an impressive front. But overall, he was better.
It was definitely a
this time.
cleaner, more balanced look than Columbus.
Yeah.
And jumping back to James, I agree with that. I mean, the thing with James is some of it, his gnarly hardness is such an attribute, you know, especially in his back shots, because he's not the widest guy. He's kind of narrow in the clavicles. He doesn't have super wide lats, you know. So when you lose that crazy level of detail and hardness, it makes some of his weaker poses a little weaker, and then all he gained by the fullness was making his strong poses stronger. It made his side chest and his side tricep better, but they're already incredible. You know, his most muscular side chest, side tri, the ones displaying that raw muscularity, they got a little bit better, but then he lost it in the front shots, you know, because he was a little over full. You know, the abs that are already a little shallow, it's washing out a little more, and then through the hams and glutes, you know, with James, we want to see those just fucking hard as nails, stripped out, and they weren't quite there. So we'll see if he brings it down a little for tonight.
Overall, 7 guys in the open, smaller show, but definitely an awesome show. We kind of have a couple groups there. We have 3, 4, 5 battling, and we have 1 and 2 battling. A lot closer show this time around, which is awesome to see. But we're going to go and watch the finals and see who can pull ahead and who falls behind and who ends up taking it tonight. So thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys on the wrap-up.